Welcome, fellow Phoenixes, to the Spiritual Phoenix Podcast, where we make a daily offering to the divine by putting our past on the pyre, searching the smoke for spirituality, turning the ashes into art, adapting isolation into connection, and manifesting mental wellness. I'm your host, Ross Cessna, and I'd like to take a moment and just focus on what we're grateful for today. Today, I'm grateful for the opportunities that have presented themselves since getting into recovery from my addiction and trying to find connection in my mental illness. And with that, I'd like to get into today's topic, which is unity. And I picked a couple special words for Wordplay Wednesday for unity. And one of them actually is unity. And if you look at the word, it is UNI and then TY, and that could mean thank you, or it could be UNI tie, as in tie a knot or form a bond. And then the other word I would like to look at is division, and that would be division, which could also be looked at unvision, which means that it kind of skews the vision of things, in my opinion. And I have a quote that I selected. Apparently I don't have it queued up, so give me one moment. And it is, as long as the general population is passive, apathetic, diverted to consumerism or hatred of the vulnerable, then the powerful can do as they please, and those who survive will be left to contemplate the outcome. And that was said by Noam Chomsky. So as far as unity goes, for me, it means loving everybody. Love is unity. And I said before at one point, I don't think I've said it on the podcast, but a drop of hate will poison an ocean of love. And what I mean by that is you can't hate something and love it at the same time. So if you're in hate, it pulls you out of, as Abraham Hicks would call it, the vortex, or something along those lines. And granted, it took me a lot of hate, anger, sadness, and all of those things to really get to where I'm at today. So I can't downplay them. They serve a purpose, I believe, but if you stay in those states, you're limiting your effectiveness at life, and you're limiting your effectiveness at happiness. There's a quote, and I've heard it attributed to both Buddha and Nelson Mandela, so I don't really know who said it. And it is, drinking, or anger is like drinking poison and expecting it to kill the other person. And that kind of goes the same with hate, in my opinion. And in our current culture, there's a lot of vocalized hate towards certain races, towards certain religious beliefs, towards sexual preference, towards all sorts of things. And I mean politics even, towards political choices. And I'm not going to vilify people that feel those things. I've said before, love is not in opposition to hate. Hate is at war with itself. They have enough things to deal with beyond me hating them or me putting them down. I don't feel that I'm better than anyone or worse than anyone. I feel that I'm on equal footing. I might have a different understanding and a different outlook, but it doesn't make me better than. I believe that we're all part of source energy, and there's not source energy that's better or worse than. I heard Alan Watts speaking. I listened to Alan Watts speaking. I didn't hear him physically. It was a recording of one of his lectures. And essentially he said, if there's anything to the Big Bang, then we're all part of that Big Bang still. We're not separate from. And if that is the case, then that would mean we're all equally part of the same thing. There's common threads that tie every single person together, and that would be we all breathe air, we all live on this planet, and we genuinely all want to feel some kind of connection. I realize that some people are extremely isolated, and in my experience, having isolated myself, it's because they hurt, because they don't understand, because they're angry. And again, I'm not going to say I'm correct. I don't necessarily think I'm correct for everybody on what I say. My opinions that I express on this podcast are correct for me. I find it sad, I would say, and I don't feel sympathy for these people. I feel empathy for the people that I'm about to mention, for people that are focused on hate, such as religious groups persecuting people because of their sexual preference, or for people holding different beliefs than them and assuming that they can't access spirituality. Spirituality is available to everybody equally. There's really no cost you have to pay for it beyond introspective thought and a desire to better yourself. There are many spiritual people within a religion. I've heard a lot of people bastardize religion too. I used to be one of them. Occasionally I still fall into that trap, and then I have to catch myself. See, religion is not the problem. It's people within it who and expressing their beliefs and believing what they do. Religion is just thoughts on paper, and then people interpreting it how they see fit is where it becomes a problem, and then them acting upon it is where the real issue arises. The other thing is people hating for people of certain racial backgrounds or things like that. I used to say I'm not racist. I hate everybody equally. And now I'm not racist. I love everybody equally is what I'll say today. The thing for me is I didn't love myself. I didn't understand myself. And I hated a lot of people because I felt that they didn't understand me. But the thing was, I didn't understand me. I used to speak a lot about how society didn't accept me. The issue there too was I didn't accept society. I think that part of the reason a lot of people fall into the trap of division is because of the way that they perceive the world. And again, I'm not going to say I'm correct. This is what's correct for me. They see things in the light of good or bad rather than it just is. So they create this division. And if they're spiritual, they'll say that there's negative or positive energies. I can't say that there aren't. That's not one way to look at it. But in my experience, all things are my higher power, the divine source, the fathomless unknown, quote unquote God, if you will. And that took a while for me to understand why there would be those things, such as hate, violence, all those things. My understanding of it now is those are there to help certain people grow, evolve, progress, have life's purpose. Will they always be there? I hope not. I really hope so. I have hope that people can unify and start working with each other towards a common good. There's a quote by Tom Waits, and he said, "There's no devil, it's only God when he's drunk." And that's kind of my understanding of things as well. It's kind of either way, you're going to get gotten by the hook or the crook, meaning the shepherd's crook. Essentially what I'm saying is my higher power, the source energy, the divine, it has a monopoly on everything in my experience. Certain people might focus on different aspects of it, but it's all one thing. It just has different sides potentially. For me, I've had extremely profound spiritual experiences that were incredibly positive, and I've had some that were incredibly negative. Now I view them as spiritual experiences that don't really have a polarity, because there was benefits to both of them. Some of the worst were the best in lots of ways, and some of the best were the worst. I still have a lot of connection to my higher power. I'm just in a more grounded place with it, I would say. I feel connected to it. I see divinity in everyone that I see. The term namaste, if I'm remembering correctly, it means the divinity in me recognizes the divinity in you. And I think that there's many truths behind that. Another thing that I would like to get into that gets into division is the assumption by many vegans or vegetarians that people who eat meat are bad. I would say that that's a form of spiritual narcissism, and it overlooks the fact that plants are living things as well. I got into somewhat of a debate or a discussion with someone, and they were saying that plants suffer less, basically. That's an opinion. And we're left with the thing then, well, what do we eat? Sunlight and water, basically. But even water has living organisms in it. So, I mean, it's an unfortunate fact that in order for things to survive, they have to consume certain things. I'm not going to say that I support killing animals. I love animals. Could I personally kill something? I don't even like killing bugs. If there was a survival element to it, yes. Do I eat meat? Yes. Do I eat plants? Yes. I'd like to begin to express more gratitude for what I eat and realize that things had to die, whether plant, whether animal, because I think that that's more so what the purpose of it is honoring it. Native American cultures, when they killed something, they would use every part of their kill. And I think that that, for me, is part of the problem with eating meat, is that there's a lot of waste, there's a lot of overproduction of it. We don't have a healthy system in place. We don't have a healthy system in place for vegetarians or vegans either, because when they have to grow all these crops, it displaces the habitats of lots of other animals that might not be as cuddly or cute or well known. It uses up a lot of resources, it uses up a lot of water, and that water could be sent to areas where they have droughts or things like that. I'm not putting down veganism, and I'm not putting down people that believe that. That's their personal belief. I'm offering an opinion in opposition to that. Am I correct? I can't say. That's the other thing. There's the spiritual narcissism that's associated that's common in spirituality, I'll say. And I won't say that I don't fall into it myself or haven't in the past. And the spiritual narcissism will be religion is foolish, atheism is foolish, which they're entitled to their beliefs. I respect people for believing whatever they want to believe. I've been atheist before, essentially. I didn't believe that there was a God or a higher power or a source energy. By God, I also mean generalized omnipotent deity. That's untrue for me now. Is it reality? I can't say one way or another, no more than anyone else can. And spiritual narcissism will assume that their beliefs, or spiritual narcissist, I should say, will believe that their beliefs are the one unadulterated truth that they and their select people are in the know of. And I don't think that that's the reality. I think if you're at a level where you think that there's division, you might not be having the full understanding. And it doesn't make you better or worse. It just means you might not have learned as much. Maybe you're onto something I don't know. I can't say. I will say the only thing that I know is I know nothing. I believe that was Socrates or Plato who said that. And the more I learn, the less I know, essentially. Because I find out that there's all these other fractals of things that I have to learn to understand those things better. But what I've found in my experience with spirituality is that you come to a place where you realize all things are unified under one heading. It's just broken down into all these categories, subcategories. And really, I need to live in love, unity, and internal peace. And in turn, I can express those things outward. Whether you need to do that or not is up to you. It's not my place to determine what's right for other people. It's my belief that when I'm judging people, I'm essentially judging my Creator's work and saying that they are wrong or that they didn't do something right. Granted, I don't think that my higher power is perfect by any means, because I don't think anything is perfect. There's, even the earth, it's amazing that it is how it is, because it wouldn't be if it wasn't exactly how it is. That's perfection to me. But I'm imperfect, but I still do things right occasionally, you know? The other thing I'll say is when people act certain ways, it might just be because they're disconnected from their source energy or in some regard, or because the source energy or the fathomless unknown wants them to be that way. I could keep going on and on about this. I think I'm starting to talk cyclically. So I'm going to put this episode on the pyre. Please check the link below. Please check below for all my social media accounts. If you're listening to this, you can watch a video of me talking on YouTube. And if you're watching me talk on YouTube, you can listen to me on iTunes or SoundCloud. I do free tarot readings occasionally, and I'm building up a database so you can select a reading at random or read the most recent reading. I'll put a link below in the description. Please leave a review for me on iTunes if you like the podcast, as it helps me reach new listeners. Contact me via message on Facebook if you have any topics you wish to bring to light. Also, get a hold of me on Facebook if you'd potentially like to be a guest. I'm looking for people who have had some difficulties in life that they have overcome or are overcoming, and would like to share the philosophies that they've learned from it, and if they have had spiritual experiences as well, some of the spirituality. Please take the time to respond to the PodTrack listener survey, as it helps me understand the audience better. Also, if you would like to get paid to write, please click the link below. All you have to do is be able to write 5 sentences in English. I would prefer that you sign up with your email, because it will give me some money, and I can use that money to go into the podcast. I'd also potentially donate some of it to charity eventually. And with that, I'd like to say love and light. Namaste.